Here we go, Corey. This comes from the Phil Steele College Football 24. And by the way, he sent me two. So I don't know if that goes back to I got a free one for a couple years. So maybe since I ordered one, I don't know. I got two. And so if it was worth it, I would send one to somebody. But anyway, let's start with defensive line. Let's point out the Big Ten teams. Ohio State's number 1, Penn State's 2, Michigan's 4, Nebraska's 5. Iowa's 13 defensive lines in the country.
Iowa's 13 in the defensive lines?
Yes.
That to me, that's way overrated.
Well, you got to understand, there's a lot of turnover in college football. I think they're banking on coaching.
So they're banking on coaching.
Here you go.
Sports is banking on talent.
The first line right here from Phil Steele. This unit is always at the top, no matter how many starters return. So despite losing 2 defensive linemen to the NFL, they were just a number 6 DC. What is that? I'm forgetting my Phil Steele code, and a undrafted free agent. 6th-round draft pick and an undrafted free agent. All 4 starters are all Big Ten caliber, and this unit will be its normal dominating self.
See, but I respect the heck out of Phil Steele, but to act like Iowa's defensive line has been dominant is it's just not true.
Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement, heavy statement there.
Yeah, that's just not true. And they lost, not having Noah Shannon hurt, but they haven't had a dominant defensive line since probably like 2018. Well, 19. I think I'm thinking of the USC year, and that was Epinessa's last season. They haven't
19,
really been dominant since then.
Yeah, 19.
They've been solid across the board. They've been deep, but like if we're looking at individual rankings, and even with, not knowing every team's turnover at that spot on the field, the Iowa's defensive line does not have, they have some proven production, but the guys that are not proven were not like these highly ranked kids. Like they're as thin at that position as I can remember as it relates to proven talent. Now they got some raw guys, a couple of freshmen that are, I think, could end up being dominant forces. Brian Allen Jr. is a guy who, if they could get him to come along, that'd be great. But Deontay Craig has, I think, underperformed. There was some expectation after his redshirt freshman year, and I thought he was just average last year. Max Llewellyn is solid, but he's an undersized defensive lineman at this level who will probably never play defensive line in the NFL. Almost assuredly will never play defensive line in the NFL. And Y.A. Black is a guy who we're still waiting for that switch, I think, to turn on and for him to fulfill the potential that it looks like he has physically. Aaron Graves, same thing. I loved Aaron Graves out of high school. Still love the kid. Good kid. Has been solid, but has not been dominant yet. So I think that estimation, that evaluation, I think is a little bit haphazard.
Linebackers. Elsewhere in the Big Ten, we've got Penn State 6, Oregon 7, Wisconsin 9, Ohio State 12, Michigan 18, Nebraska 19, Michigan State 20, Iowa number 1 at linebacker.
Number 1 in the
Phil Steele.
In the country?
Yes.
Okay. Again, that's a bold statement to make, but man, I can't imagine. I said this a couple of years ago when you had Seth Benson and Jack Campbell coming back. And frankly, Mark, is Jay Higgins, like if you were to compare the 2 linebacker rooms, the top 2 guys in that room, because they play a lot of cash now with Sebastian Castor, who's ever playing that hybrid spot. If you're just comparing top 2 linebackers, as good as that linebacker room was with Benson and Campbell, could you argue Campbell and Higgins kind of cancel each other out?
Sure.
I think Jack Campbell will probably go down. Some of the plays he made, turnovers and whatnot, his ability to he made a couple of big plays, interceptions, and big moments of games, fumble recoveries, made a big return against Wisconsin late in the season a couple of years ago. But I think you can almost cancel those 2 guys out. And boy, Nick Jackson, I'd give him the nod over Seth Benson every time. And I like Seth Benson, but both of these guys that Iowa has this year have chances to make, be top 3-round draft picks, I think, next year. What isn't Nick Jackson like? Isn't he close to like the all-time tackle record in college football or something?
Yeah,
Something
he is.
obscene.
He is. We should look that up.
That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
saw that somewhere. Secondary, Ohio State number 1, Iowa 5, Michigan 8, Penn State 9, Oregon 11, Wisconsin 12.
I mean, it doesn't sound like Phil Steele would have Iowa out of his top 10 nationally.
I don't know if he puts it all together. Maybe he does.
I can't imagine he would have him outside the top 10 based on those rankings, because he's at Iowa ahead of Penn State and these different teams. I mean, I know you're just giving me Big Ten rankings, but
no, those are not Big Ten rankings.
well, no, you're reading the Big Ten.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I got to think he's got everything else in here. I got to think that he's got his defensive rankings put together. Now he considers Iowa to be the 18th best team in the country. So he has 2 rankings. So he has one where he just basically says, these are the best teams in the country, 1 through a zillion. I'm not applying schedule. I'm just, these are the best teams in the country, 1 through whatever. Then he applies the schedule and says, okay, well, the 10th best team in the country might play a brutal schedule, so I'm going to have them 24, etc. So he's got Iowa at number 18 as the 18th best team in the country. And then when he puts it together with the schedule, he is ranking Iowa. Where are they?
Probably top 15.
They got to be somewhere. Where are they? 11.
Wow.
Number 11.
Isn't it odd to think, and again, I know we're comparing 2 different, 2 different rankings, 2 different people that are ranking these things, whoever's behind the EA Sports rankings. But isn't it odd that you could possibly argue that Iowa is a top 20 team overall and doesn't have a top 20 or top 10 defense? Because if you're ranking them top like 18 in the country, but you think the defense is only going to be number 13, what does that mean about the offense? So does that mean the offense is going to be carrying half the load?
What does EA Sports rank Iowa overall? Do we know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
The only reason I see these rankings from EA Sports is because they pop up on social media. That's the only reason I see them.
Me too.
Good for them. Good for them. People are talking about the game, and I'm sure it's great for EA Sports.
Absolutely, folks. So while we're on at least the source of this particular conversation, I would like everyone to know that we have had a reset at the Voice of College Football. So in the past, you have certainly been favored with not only our college football coverage here at the Voice of College Football on X, but also my many musings about the world in general. So for those of you who enjoy hearing me rant and rave about all sorts of things, you're going to have to follow me on. I will show you the page here in just a second, and we will drop it in the chat. So if you want to follow me personally, that is a different account now. This is the official Corey account for the Voice of College Football Network. And I know, in addition to your chores at from the Hawkeye of the Storm, that you're mighty proud to be part of the official network.
I do like let me just say this. I do like the banner there. That's a slick looking banner. Now, what am I seeing?
And there is no logo there. There is no profile because it's a verified account and X has to re-verify it. So that takes a couple weeks or something.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I was going to say,
what's that
big black spot over?
That's our issue there.
Who is that? And is that Edwards?
We are looking at Will Johnson, who might be the best defensive back in the country. Ollie Gordon, the now possibly suspended running back at Oklahoma State, who led the nation in rushing. We've got Quinn Ewers of Texas and Jalen Milroe at Alabama. And that was part of our social media conversation today. Mark, did we select the right players, etc.? I said, just so we're representative of the country. We got a defensive player there. Fine. Let's switch it out every couple months.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited. Does that mean no more Elvis Presley tweets?
Well, you're going to have to follow my personal account. No more Elvis, no more social justice banter, and I don't get on my soapbox. I will be getting on my soapbox. So I will do that elsewhere. I will do that on my personal account. This is all college football all the time, folks.
52,000 posts? You've made 52,000
Really?
posts? My
Wow.
goodness.